So tell me about Marz Community Brewing Company. Obviously, it takes after your name, but what got you focused on brewing?
Well, Mars Community Brewing Company is a project that emanated from our family's bar in Bridgeport called Maria's Packaged Goods and Community Bar. It's been around since the late 30s. My mother took it over in the late 80s. I've been working there for most of my life. I'm a bar baby. And my brother and I were given the opportunity to take it over in 2010. And when we did so, we basically started doing what most good bars were doing in the city, which was bringing in good craft beer and good craft cocktails. And as we started doing that, we got a lot of popularity and notoriety for having a wide selection. At one point, we had like 500 different types of beers you could order at the bar. And it's a very tiny bar. And it had a little bottle shop. It's referred to as a slashy, half liquor store, half bar. So while we were drinking the beer, we started meeting new craft breweries in Chicago, started serving their beer. And we started noticing the effect that those breweries had on their communities here in Chicago. And we knew what effect our bar had on our community here in the near South Side. And we got excited about the idea of starting another business in our neighborhood. And when we met these guys from Pipeworks and realized that they were making beer on a very tiny brewing system, we're like, oh my gosh, if those guys could do it, we could do it too. So we ordered this weird brewing system called the Psycho Brew. And a bunch of people who used to go to Maria's were home brewers. My brothers were home brewers. And they would get together and home brew and share each other's beers. And when we got this system, we just started scaling up our recipes. And after a year or so, we figured out how to use the system and make decent beer. And we applied for our licensing. And it took a while, but we launched in 2014. And we launched out of this little tiny storefront on Halsted, which was a mistake. In fact, almost everything we did with this brewery has been a mistake. What a crazy idea to start a craft brewery. Then everyone else on earth had the same idea. Yep. There's over 220, 30 craft breweries in Illinois now. Back in the day, there was only half a dozen when we were starting, or like a dozen actually when we started Marz. And then we looked for another facility to make a larger brewery, one that we could actually serve the beer on premise. And we found a place right on the border of Bridgeport and McKinley Park in the Central Manufacturing District. And it's called on Iron Street. So it's right on 36th and Iron, right on the edge of Bridgeport in McKinley Park, actually. So we managed to find another building in the neighborhood, a factory, actually, a warehouse, to do the project in. But that building also had problems because we had to build our brewing system in the half basement of the brewery, rip out the floor so that the brewery system could stick out and have enough room for us to put tanks in there. So most breweries should be like on a single story property, like a giant garage or a big single story warehouse. But we decided to do it in a 4-story building.
As one does.
So that's how we started. We were enamored with craft beer. We were home brewers. We saw the burgeoning craft brewing scene here in Chicago. And we just decided to contribute to that and do something here in the near South Side.
That's awesome. And I did some Instagram stalking like the millennial woman that I am. Right and saw that you're doing these CBD non-alcoholic beverages. How did that get started?
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you brought that up because we got a new system, a new brewery system, and we had our old system. So we started piloting all these different beverages. So we started making yerba mate beverages. We started brewing coffee and doing cold brew coffee. And then we started making regular seltzers. And then when we realized that people were putting a CBD, nano emulsified CBD in beverages on the coast, we're like, why don't we do that? So we started using our old system to develop recipes and do very small batches. One of our brewery members became actually the lead on making the non-alcoholic beverages. And it became a year-long project to actually figure out how to do that correctly and follow the regulations or the guidelines that the state wants you to do. But yeah, we're way into CBD beverages. We must have like 12 of them. I don't even know anymore. 13. We put CBD in seltzer. Or like regular seltzer, not hard seltzer. We put it in tea beverages. We put it in shrub sodas. We put it in our coffee. We have a nitro coffee with CBD, and then we have a vanilla version of that coffee. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, we're a brewing company. We have the equipment, we have the knowledge, we have all this expertise. So making any beverage in a can is really something that we're going to do.
I love that. So obviously there are weird laws about these things, but theoretically, hypothetically speaking, if someone were to mix a CBD drink with one of the alcohol beverages on their own in their own household, what would a good combo be?
You know what? I've never tried that. I've never done it. I either drink beer when I want to drink a beer, or I drink these seltzers, or I, use CBD drops when I want. I've never done that. I don't know what to
Haven't
tell you.
combined yet.
No. But
I
I
I
would
will do that
imagine,
research.
yeah, I think you should try it out for us and let us know.
I'm so happy to do it. It's so funny to talk to you while also seeing like the Instagram, because you have like, you sound like a scientist, man. You sound like a chemist, like getting in there, being like, yeah, and we have this system and all that. But then you also sing to your beverages. So
Oh
let's
yeah, I do.
discuss.
I do sing. Maybe you're referring to those karaoke videos, right? Well,
Yep.
we're way into karaoke at Marz. We used to have a weekly karaoke at Marz event at the tap room, and there'd be different hosts, and I would host, and I would also be a participant. But yeah, I mean, once you get into the karaoke scene and you realize you could just listen to any song you want and it's an instrumental and you could find it online, you just start remixing the lyrics because you don't remember the lyrics. And I just started doing that when we started talking about our beer, started talking about events. So you reminded me that I have to do more of those. So thank you.
I know that I need more videos of you singing to your beers.
Oh,
It's just, oh, it's gold.
you're too sweet, Palmer. Thank you.
It seems like your brewery has everything at this point. You have your CBD, non-alcoholic beverages. Of course, you have your alcoholic beverages. You have karaoke. You do cool food with moms also.
Yeah, yeah. We're actually hoping that the laws change in Illinois next year and allow us to actually package cocktails. So whatever we can make in a can or package, we're going to make, and that's something that we're looking forward to. But we're also opening up another location in the north side of Chicago in Logan Square / Bucktown, at the corner of Milwaukee, Armitage, and Western, in a building that some people might know because they've maybe been to Margie's Candies. Margie's Candies is like a legendary ice cream candy shop in Logan Square, Bucktown. And we're opening up a little tiny nano brewery. It's almost finished, and it's called Life on Marz Community Club. And that's meant to be like another place for us to engage with people and offer up all the stuff that we do and do weird events and fun stuff.
That's awesome. When I look at your cans, they're immediately eye-catching. I mean, it's gorgeous, the designs that you have on them. What goes into that process?
Well, we've been doing stuff in Chicago for a very long time and working with different artists and designers for decades. We've done publications such as Lumpen, and we have a nonprofit called the Public Media Institute. And we put out so many publications that we've met so many great graphic designers. Many of them are internationally renowned, award-winning designers who have their own firms. We met them all here in Chicago, and they've all moved to different parts of the country. And we continue to work with them. And since we know thousands of artists, we're just like, let's do this concept of a beer. Like, who would be the best artist for it? And we'll just think about our friends or our friends of friends, and we'll ask them if they want to make a label. And 9 times out of 10, they have time to do so. So we're blessed that we work with all these fantastic artists and designers from all over the planet. So it's just part of kind of an everyday thing for us, is to have this kind of awesome art, illustration, design around most of the things that we do.
Yeah, I love that you're using artists that you guys are really plugged into like the community. Weren't you doing a community kitchen type thing earlier?
Yeah. Actually, we since the pandemic happened, your listeners may know that a lot of restaurants and bars are struggling, and breweries are struggling because of the laws and regulations. And they have to shut down this month, and they could reopen this month, but they can only do it outside. And just pivoting all the time has been nuts. But right away, back in the spring, we realized that it's not a real stable job for our employees. It's not stable for anyone really. And we have all these kitchens in our tap room. And of course, I'm related to the Maria's Kimski and pizza fried chicken ice cream thing. And they were underutilized kitchens. So we started using those to make food for food pantries and just residents around us. So it grew from like making 300 or 600 meals a week to 2,000 meals a week, where we're basically using our kitchen at Marz and using our kitchen at Kimski. And we're using kitchens at the Donerman, the D-Men Tap, as well as Parachute and Wherewithal. And those kitchens are employing cooks to make food, which then goes out to food pantries, community centers, or just right in front of those restaurants. You could come and pick up a food on a certain day of the week. And we started doing that, and it's been an incredible way for us to give back to the community. And then we work in partnership with our nonprofit, and we've been able to work with different corporate donors and different co-investors and individuals like yourself who've donated money. And it's pretty insane. I mean, there's a massive need. There's a lot of food insecurity right now, and we're just doing our best to provide really tasty food. Like imagine moms making your meal every, 3 times a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, or like chefs at Kimski or these guest chefs from all over the city. We've worked with 50, 60, 70 different restaurants and chefs, and dozens of vendors have donated products, food, protein, bread. Like today, Publican Quality Bakery just gave us 100 loaves of bread to give out at our community canteen. So we just started a restaurant actually that's open 5 days a week from noon to 5 on Tuesday through Saturday. And you can just go in there and pick any food you want off the menu. There's 5 entrees and it's free. We also give people the opportunity to pay as they can. So if you want to make a donation, you can, and it just feeds the next person. And this stuff has been happening and it'll be happening throughout the winter. We plan on doing this stuff through these tough times ahead. And we feel like it's a good idea to utilize the kitchen, keep people employed, keep people fed during this massive time of uncertainty.
I love the idea too that you are using, the quality food and quality chefs, and there often is this sense that if somebody doesn't have the financial resources to put food on their table, that they get white bread and ham and you take what you can get. But I love the thought process of like, no, you also deserve to have good food, not just food, but good food. I think that is great.
Oh, absolutely. There's like a whole like world of thought or philosophy called radical hospitality. And radical hospitality means going way beyond normal to try to make someone feel comfortable and provide them services or goods that they normally wouldn't receive. Just so really to us, it means making really high quality food using local farms and using local protein purveyors, local bakeries, pastry chefs, etc., to create great meals that you would sell at your restaurant, but just give them to anyone if they want them. So it's all the chefs only use really great ingredients. They're really creative. They make amazing food, and we all deserve really great meals, no matter what our income level is. So it is cool, and it's something that a lot of people are doing. There's examples of this all over the world, but we just hope that while we do it, it points out one solution that there is out there to open restaurants or use them as takeout places and use those kitchens. It's a shame that, the federal government couldn't figure out a way to help fund these programs, but I think as more and more of them pop up, people will see that there's value in them, and they'll see it's a good way to keep people employed and keep people fed.
Yeah. And I know obviously this started from necessity from the pandemic this year, but is it something that you and your company could see doing more long-term on a smaller scale?
Well, yeah, I mean, right now we're actually trying to quadruple our efforts. We would like to open up 4 or 5 more canteens with people throughout the south and west sides of Chicago, at least through the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But we expect, as long as we are able to raise the funds and as long as we could figure out a way to budget it on our budgets at our companies, we'll continue to feed these community centers and groups that we've been feeding since June, for whenever. I mean, till they stop giving me food. A lot of amazing things have happened, like the Love Fridge. A Love Fridge has been developed where people put refrigerators in different public spaces throughout the city, and people from all over the city crowdsource and bring canned goods or produce or food people make donations of products and they go in these fridges. And there's like 17 of them all over the city right now. And we partner up with them when we don't, for example, give out as many meals as we think we are every day at the canteen. The folks from the Love Fridge will pick up all this food and bring them to their various locations throughout the city, so the food is used. So it's really an amazing community-wide effort. It's just an incredible ecosystem and ecology of people trying to do something positive when we need it the most.
So what you're saying is when I drink beer from Marz Brewing, I'm helping my community.
Well, that's absolutely correct. I mean, we make certain beers that are specifically for organizations. They're like collaboration brews where the proceeds go straight to those orgs. But in general, Marz gives between 5 and 10% of our revenue or in-kind donations to community groups, organizations, social groups, artists, et cetera, every year. I think was a year ago, we counted like 90 groups that received funding from us. I don't even know what it is today. I have no clue, but it's just, you know, being a socially responsible business. We have the name community in our brand, you know, Maria's Packaged Goods Community Bar, Marz Community Brewing. It's really important for us to do whatever we can to create a community within our different neighborhoods, even virtually through our professional organizations, et cetera, because together we're able to come up with solutions like these and also serve our communities in ways that maybe we forgot to, or maybe we never thought we needed to. But I think this portal that the pandemic opened has shown us that there is such an amazing gap in terms of like providing food to people in need. The food insecurity thing is huge. You know, 1 out of 5 small businesses have failed this year. You have 8 to 9 million people families, not people, went into poverty this year due to the pandemic. What do you do about that? Well, this is just some things we could do. Maybe we won't be able to do it as long as we want, but we're going to keep trying. But yes, someone who purchases a beer or product from Marz knows that that money is going to social causes, to various communities. It's just, we don't really put that on our brand or can,
Right.
but it's like, I'm glad you asked because people don't know. And we try
That's
really
my
hard.
job.
Right on. Yeah, we try really hard.
Literally.
We try really hard to do that. So thank you.
I love that so much. And while I am sipping one of your Marz beers and helping my community simultaneously, what should I expect to taste? What sets your beer apart?
Well, you know, one of the things that we created a long time ago, well, it's not that long ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Right. In 2020, that could be 30 years ago.
Yeah. We isolated our own strain of lactobacillus, which is a yeast strain. And that yeast strain allowed us to do room temperature kettle souring, which seems technical and weird, but we developed a technique to make wild and sour ales that was unheard of, because usually this technique took expensive equipment that you needed to keep your beer at a really high temp. And through that program of making sours, I think that we make some of the best drinkable sours, non-super acidic, yummy sours like Berliner Weisses, Gozas, wild ales. Yakult is like a sour ale with lactose, which gives it a creamy mouthfeel. So there's a whole series of these fruited Yakult beverages that have our lacto in it. And that's actually, we make a lot of jokes with our beers, and Yakult is actually derived from Yakult, which is like a yogurt probiotic drink that you get in the grocery store with a little happy little strawberry man on it. So we like to think of our Yakult beers as these probiotic little fun beers. We also, of course, make a lot of beers with tea, Jungle Boogie being one of the main beers that we make. So if you haven't tried Marz beer, you're going to go for the Jungle Boogie. It's an American pale wheat ale with rooibos tea. And that rooibos tea and the tannins from that tea and these peach flavors and the mosaic hops creates this really unique blend of pale ale and wheat ale. And it's super delicious. We've made 20 variations of Jungle Boogie. It's insane how many people like that beer. And it comes fruited with, you know, blueberries, peaches, elderberries, whatever. But the most recent one is Fruit Punch Jungle Boogie, which is basically like the fruits you would find in high C fruit punch with the beer. And of course, we make a ton of hazy IPAs. So New England style IPAs, we started making fun of them 4 or 5 years ago when we came up with our own version of the New England style called the Midway style or the Midwest IPA. And we've been through geez, 40, 50 different variations and flavors of a New England style IPA. So we have a line of like very non-bitter, fruity, juice-like IPAs, as well as more balanced, hazy IPAs, and then the traditional West Coast style IPAs. So IPAs, sours, beers with tea, and then weirdo like stouts with maple vanilla. Like, you know, we have a whole series of porters called munchies, and they're all about like, you're as if you had the munchies and you're eating pancakes and maple syrup and vanilla, etc. But yeah, those are some of the main lines of beer. And of course, we make every style you can imagine. We hybridize styles. We experiment a lot with styles of beer. We just put out Hala Haze, which is a hazy beer made with wine juice. So it's wine and beer combined into a beverage.
And it's called wine juice.
Yeah, the juice is called, yeah, it's Pinot Gris juice with the beer. So the juice, the wine, the grape juice, the sugars, juice actually ferment out and become alcohol. So
but so it's before it ferments and you keep that juice first and then
you add the juice to a fermenting beer and it ferments out and it creates the alcohol together.
That's really, so cool.
Yeah, it's really fun beer. And of course, fruited ales like Krampus, Cramp Biscus is the name of our beer, but it's a nod to Krampus, that kind of like demon, like
the weird Santa.
Santa. In fact, Krampusnacht is this December 5th. This weekend coming up is Krampusnacht, and you know, if you're good, you should be okay. But if you're naughty, Krampus is going to pick you up and throw you in a sack. Well, we make that beer. It's a fruited ale beer. Then we make bottle conditioned sours and saisons. I mean, we really make, I think we make about 100 different beers a year.
Wow.
So, and a lot of them come out and repeat. But remember, we're also a very small brewery.
Right.
I mean, we can do that. We're not like making only XYZ, like 7 brands of beer that you see in every grocery store. Every beer we make is a very niche style, weirdo beer. And you might see it once in the year. And then there's like maybe a couple dozen that come out frequently throughout the year.
I love that, because that tells me that every beer that goes out, you've put thought into. You're not trying to just put out some beer and sell as much as you can. Everything, it's clearly a craft of love.
Oh yeah, we definitely don't know how to run a brewery. We are definitely the most successfully failing brewery in Chicagoland, in the Midwest. And
not for long.
Yeah, but I mean, we always just said it doesn't really matter what an idea costs in order to make something happen. And if it costs more, then we'll raise the price a little bit more. And if people don't like it, then we learn something. But we definitely use the highest quality ingredients we possibly can to make really good beer. We don't like to make commodity craft beer or just lame beer. I mean, it's just would be a waste of time and a waste of people's money. And, you know, and there's like, you know, 200,000 different beers made every year in the country. And if we just make a handful then that people remember and they really enjoy, they want to come back to, or they love, I think we succeeded as a brewery.
Hell yeah. So just to wrap this all up, you're still doing in-store stuff right now. You're also doing to-go and curbside and delivery, right?
Yeah, that's right. We have we had to develop our own weirdo delivery service. Like if you're in the city, we have our drivers going out delivering products throughout the city anyways. So we have different zones each day of the week. So you can get beer delivered most days of the week. And if you're in the suburbs, we have certain zones in the suburbs where the beers go out. So at least once or twice a week, you can order something from our virtual cooler, that's what we call it. And it'll get to you somehow, either contactless, or we ring your doorbell or give it to your doorman or whatever the hell you want. Carrier
pigeon, is that an option?
Well, carrier pigeons, if you get 6 of them together, they can carry one of our 4-packs.
There's a whole Monty Python conversation we could be having right now about pigeons carrying 6-packs.
Do you need 2 to carry 1 coconut, or is it just 1 for the coconut?
What about if they were African pigeons?
That's right. Well, then you only need 3. Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad that you know about Monty Python. A lot of kids.
Well, I just look like I'm 12. I'm secretly 26.
Right on.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And we can find you Instagram, Twitter at Marz Brewing. It's Marz with a Z. Facebook, Marz Community Brewing. And I'm so glad that you're able to talk to us today.
thank you so much for even giving a shit and being interested. We're really delighted to be on your show and let you know what we're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you guys are doing with the community. I'm definitely going to be barging down your brewing door as soon as I get there, as
Right
soon as
on.
I can.
Thanks, Palmer.
Yeah, thank you.